Perhaps after watching Louisville Now here for the first segment, you're saying, you know what, I wouldn't mind working for the fire department, being a firefighter. That is possible. We're going to talk about that process now with Captain Tamara Stewart. Captain, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me.
We've chatted before.
Yes, sir.
You're very good at this. I could see where someone like you and your personality could lure someone into the fire department.
I try.
So thank you for what you do as well.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk a little bit about, first of all, the application process. If someone's watching, I'm not necessarily talking to youngsters, am I? I'm talking to all folks who may have an interest, right? Tell me about that.
Sure. So our hiring process is a little bit lengthy. So that's the first thing we want to tell people. We're typically only open for applications about 1 month per year. So we actually just closed our applications back on July 4th. So it's still going to be maybe 11 months before we open again. But I kind of think about what I do as planting the seed. So I want to plant that seed and get somebody thinking about it, because this job can be for anybody, male, female, whatever your history is, your background, your age. You do have to be at least 18 years old, but there is no upper age limit. So when I tried out, I was 35, and I was looking at other fire departments, and some of them they had an upper age limit, so I was already too old, right? So on Louisville Fire Department, we do not have an upper age limit. So as long as you can physically meet the challenges, come one, come all. So the requirements are age 18 or older, a high school diploma or GED, and a valid driver's license. We teach you the rest. You don't have to know how to be a firefighter. So before I got on the fire department, I was a school teacher. I loved my job, but I'll be honest, I went to work at 7 a.m. I got home at 7 p.m. I did more work. I worked on Saturdays. After a while, I thought, I can't keep this up for 27 years. And I had a friend that I knew from sports. She said, come try out for the fire department. And it changed my world. And I loved teaching, but I love being a firefighter. Both careers give back to the community. You're affecting people's lives, in positive ways. Yeah. And it's just a rewarding career that doesn't require you to have a college degree or to go back and spend more money to learn how to do it. We train you how to do everything.
Let's talk a little bit about that. This is exciting to me because there's some things that are obvious. Okay, we talk about the danger involved, the focus that is needed, but there's a lot of advantages. Before we get to those, maybe some of the perks, let's talk a little bit about that journey from application to graduation. What is that journey like for someone?
Sure. So step one, first thing, step one is begin training. We run a lot of stairs, especially women. Don't be afraid to lift heavy weights. The reality is I'm 5'9", I weigh 155 pounds. I had to train a different way than how I had been training, right? So I lifted heavy weights, and you can see I didn't turn into some, Hulkamaniac or anything like that.
You're a piece of steel.
But yeah, so strength is important, but muscular endurance is also important, cardiovascular endurance. So step one, I tell people, be training, run, exercise, lift weights, eat healthfully. But when you go to apply, we have an online application, so that'll be step one. Step two is a written exam, and it's 100 questions, civil service. It is some mathematics, reading comprehension, some mechanical advantage questions, but it's all high school level. The next step in the process is practice our physical agility test. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Our test is very difficult. It needs to be difficult. This is a tough job. So you get a chance to come down and run our tower for practice. Then you come run your real test. If you pass that test, you get an interview. And then if you are selected to proceed in the process, then there's a polygraph, there's a background check, there's a stress test, and a medical. So the whole process takes maybe about 6 months. So it's not a quick process, but there's a lot of vetting that has to go. There's a lot of steps in the process. But once you get hired, you come to the Fire Academy, you start earning your benefits and pay on day one. And that's where we teach you how the fundamentals of firefighting. So the Fire Academy is 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's 6 months long, so it's just like going to school to learn how to be a firefighter. When you graduate, you get assigned to a firehouse, and then our schedule changes to 24 hours on duty, 48 hours off duty. So it works out to about 10 days a month, so you have time to spend time with your family, exercise, go to the bank on your days off, whatever you need to do. So the schedule changes midway through your journey as a first-year firefighter, and then yeah, so it's such a neat job and a neat schedule, and it's very rewarding, the camaraderie and the physicality. Every day is different. So it's a very neat career.
You said something very interesting there. You were talking about the physicality, but also because of the time that you get off in between. I'm assuming that's for your mental health, for your emotional health, because while you're on the job, you're very focused. So
Sure.
talk a little bit about the importance and other attributes other than physicality that maybe you're looking for.
Sure. So this job is very physically demanding. Now, the good news is we don't fight fire every day. We don't, we have smoke detectors and fire suppression systems, and we don't actually want anybody's things to catch fire. But we have this mentality of we train so hard that if there is a fire, send me. I can do it. I will put the fire out. I will save the property and the people. So in a sense, it's the state of readiness. When we're on duty for those 24 hours, we're not fighting fire obviously the 24 hours. We're in that constant state of readiness. We're constantly training. We're learning something every day. And so yes, that time off, it allows time to decompress and to catch up on sleep and that kind of thing. And again, just to spend time. So what I struggled with as a teacher, that was that work-life balance. As a firefighter, it's built in. I go to work for 24 hours, do my best work, and then when I'm home for my 48, I'm off. I don't have to do more,
Right.
So it really built in those boundaries that I had a hard time setting myself in my previous career.
How rewarding is it for you? Because I watch television and I see when there's a fire here in Louisville and I go, oh, thank God no one was hurt, or wow, they saved that building. That's absolutely amazing. It's different when you watch the news because you go, I helped make that happen. I save people. It has to be enormously rewarding.
It is, and a lot of times in the moment, we have our priorities, life safety and property conservation and environmental protection. We have our priorities, so we're not thinking about it in the moment. We're just doing, right? It's afterwards. We get back to the firehouse and we sit down with each other and say, hey, high five, we did a good job on that one. And then sometimes we don't know the outcome of something. So perhaps we make a medical run and we don't know what the outcome was with the patient, but every once in a while somebody stops by the firehouse and say, hey, you saved my sister, or you saved me. And so that's obviously very rewarding as well. So,
yes. And you do something, you have a special attribute, a special talent that I certainly wanted to touch upon here, because I've seen some film of your ceremonies. And I actually caught you. I said, I know her. There's Captain Stewart. You play the bagpipes. I
do.
Okay, that is so cool. So tell folks about that. How did you learn that, and why is that important to the job that you now have?
Okay, so before, like I said, I was a teacher before. I was a music teacher. So I have an interest in music history. And weirdly, one of the habits I fell into was Renaissance bagpipes. So I actually played Renaissance bagpipes that were, modeled after something from 1550 before I ever played what we think of when you see bagpipes on a fire service. Those are the Great Highland bagpipes. So I actually played antique bagpipes first. But because I already had that background in there, and I always had an interest in learning the Great Highland bagpipes. And then I learned when I joined the fire service that back in the mid-1800s, when Irish and Scottish immigrants were coming to America to seek a better life, often they couldn't get jobs. There was a lot of discrimination. And so often Irish and Scottish immigrants were firefighters and police officers because those were dangerous, dirty jobs, and nobody wanted them. So very often you had a lot of Scottish and Irish family, and they brought with them their tradition of bagpipes, whether it's at funerals or celebrations. So in some aspects, being able to play the bagpipes at whether it's a funeral or a graduation ceremony, it's a nod to the past. The immigrants that came here that took the job that was dangerous and nobody else wanted. But that's why the bagpipes have a close affiliation with the fire service and police service, is because of our Irish and Scottish ancestors.
And it is a nod to the past.
Yes.
And also, to me, not only a nod to the past, but it gives a little bit of importance to the ceremony, whatever that may be. Okay, you said we give a high five after we've done a good job. Maybe we've saved a building, saved some lives. High five, you did a good job.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, Captain Stewart, once again, we are at the Louisville Fire Museum, and coming up here, a very unique camp. That's right. Now, think about your kiddos. Think about folks who are interested maybe in becoming a firefighter. A unique camp we're going to talk about next on Louisville Now.